50 years in the making, the Percussive Arts Society. And once a year, percussionists from around the world descend on Indianapolis for 4 unforgettable days. Classes that challenge your thinking, performances that blow your mind, hallway hangs where students meet their heroes, and old friends reconnecting after decades. This year, PAS turns 50, a milestone that honors not just an organization, but a community built across generations. At the center, a board of directors, state chapters, and a dedicated staff led by Executive Director Joshua Simonds, bringing to life one of the most inspiring arts organizations in the world. In this conversation, Joshua shares his professional journey from California, across the country, and back home to PAS, as we go inside the making of PASIC and hear why it's more than an event, more than a conference, but a family reunion for percussionists worldwide.
Hi everybody, welcome to Indianapolis. We are here on the final day of PASIC 2024, the Percussive Arts Society International Convention. This is one of the premier events for PAS, the Percussive Arts Society. And we have the extreme honor of sitting down with PAS's Executive Director, Mr. Joshua Simonds. Joshua, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us.
Sure,
and before we jump into things, I gotta say on behalf of the entire team, thanks for making this so welcoming for us. It's such a treat for us to get to reconnect with our community, but just in getting to collaborate with you and your amazing team this week, with Andrea in the back working registration and Amber setting up all the logistics and getting the room for us. You guys have just been so welcoming. Thank you so much.
I know, I appreciate being here, and so great to see so many of our community out and documenting things and getting things up online, you know, letting all those people know what they're missing who aren't here right now, right? So.
I gotta know, it's probably breaking people's hearts who aren't able to be here. Embarrassingly, I admitted to Julie last year that when I came last year, it was my first time back to PASIC in many, many years.
The 2 in a row, but now 2 in a row.
Now 2 in a row,
I mean,
and 2 of many, many more to come in a row. Because the first thing I felt when I came back was, oh, it's like back to the homeland. These are my people. This is my tribe, and it's been so great. So you have survived your 3, 4, 5. I would say day, but preparation is months and months and months.
We are currently in the final session block of PASIC 24, and then we go right into the evening concert.
Yes. And
then we take a week off and start planning next year.
Yeah. Does the most of the work happen for you before PASIC? Are you having to put out the fires? Like, what does it look like before the event and then the actual week of?
Planning is a year-round thing, and as we get closer, the information we need goes a lot more. On site, it's all execution. And then when you're executing, there's always things that are gonna come up. Where's the stand? Where's the marimba? You can plan to move a piece of equipment or have a stage built, but the execution of actually happening and every one of those things lining up and the stage crew and then the building lining up doesn't always meet the paper, right? So you have your plan, and if you're ready to plan, but you have to know it's not always gonna go to plan. And so if you have your team ready to go, everyone knows what to do. So yeah, we're constantly putting out issues. I wouldn't say fires, you know? And so many, I don't even know about so many things. There's kind of a running joke that if it doesn't get to me, it's not that big of a deal. If it gets to me, then there's a fire. And I'll tell you, this year, the things didn't really get to me, which is great. You know, afterwards I'd be like, that happened? Like, oh yeah, but don't worry, we took care of it. Overall, very smooth this year.
Amazing, amazing. So, Joshua, I feel like even though we've crossed paths several times now, and I feel like I know you, I also feel like I don't know a lot about you. I know you were a trained percussionist. I know that you went to school to study performance. And so one of my questions, I thought maybe it would be fun if we just kind of went through your chronology, and leading up to my question, which is, how does one become the executive director for a arts organization like PAS? You didn't set out to be the executive director when you went to school.
I did not.
What did that look like?
I did not. I mean, so like many people, you know, I was in band in high school, and then took private lessons, marched drum corps.
Can I ask the years? Okay, slight pause.
I marched the Velvet Knights.
Amazing. Can you tell us no years?
I marched the Velvet Knights.
Okay.
And I love it. Still have my I pull my jacket out one time a year, yes. Finals night, but yeah, love it. And then went to Long Beach State, where I did study performance and education. But during my time there, like I was a good percussionist. I wasn't a great, and I'm grapevine. My teacher was, I had a great teacher, Dr. Michael Carney, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, but was an outstanding teacher. And I also studied with Rainer Carroll from the LA Phil. And, you know, and I was like, I was good, but I was like, am I ever going to have Rainer's job? You know? But I was also really interested in things outside of the classroom. One time I just called up the Long Beach Symphony. I said, hey, do you need an intern? They're like, yeah, come on down. And, you know, and so that's when I really started to do like arts management. Cause I was like, I'll tell you, I was always like section leader, like things got set up, music passed out, you name it. Like that was, you know, yeah.
Josh was the guy.
I'm the guy.
Yeah.
I make sure everything's there. But hey, why don't you play that part? You know.
Assigned you the
sandwich? You can do that. But I was really interested in that, you know, just early on, like, hey, we can do different things. So I graduated from Long Beach State, and actually at the direction of the conductor of the time at Long Beach Symphony, who's still around, Joanne Falletta, Maestro Falletta, who I've still kept in touch with today, was a huge advocate. Like, hey, we need more people who have music backgrounds, who understand music, but also understand the business. And Rainer said the same thing. He said, hey, you want to go into administration, that's great, but you can still be a good musician. It doesn't mean you're going to not, right? You have to know how to play and know the repertoire, know everything, and if you want to play, you want to do admin, learn that too. And so I did. So after that, I went to American University, where I got my master's in nonprofit arts management, and was very focused on orchestral management, because that was kind of this big, like, you know, in school it's education, performance, right? And then when you get outside into arts management, if you're in music, well, you go orchestra management. You kind of are in this very small box. And so I started there. But then pretty early on, you realize, wow, there's so many more opportunities. But after...
Sorry, can I ask, what did you think you were going to do when you started at Long Beach?
I thought I would just end up my whole career in working in orchestras.
Working in orchestras. So when you started...
working in orchestra management, you know.
So even while you were studying performance...
Towards the...
Well, what did you think you were going to do when you said, I'm going to be a music major? What did that mean to you as high school, college...
Band
Joshua?
director.
Oh, band director.
High school band director.
Where did that come from?
My parents were high school educators, not music. So I was like, give me a band director.
Yeah.
That's what you do. It's either you do performance or education. Yeah. That's it. I love teaching, yes. but I just had this. There was this other thing, like, you know what? I think I can do something else.
Because you had that chip to call up and say, are you looking for an intern? Where did that come from?
That came from my older brother, who is a lawyer. And I remember one summer he's like, oh, I have this. He's like, I'm going to be an intern. But being an intern as a law student is very different than being an intern as music. So his internship bought him a BMW.
Yeah.
My internship,
A baton?
taught me how to make coffee really well. So,
but you're like, you're an intern, I can be an intern
I can be too, yeah. I'll be an intern too.
Yeah.
But it was just that whole idea of learning outside the classroom. I studied a year in England when I studied. I'm always about learning outside the classroom. I think that's so big that, you know, you can only learn so much, and it gives you the opportunity to go out and just try something new, do something, learn something else. Don't be afraid to stretch those wings and get out there and talk to people. And, you know, I would call it, can you have an interview? Like the whole thing, just, you know, what's the worst that happens? Someone says no. In my world, no means hello. If they say no, at least they said no. They didn't ignore you, right? So it was just the idea of just getting out there and trying new things and seeing things and meeting people and just learning, you know. I loved that when I was younger.
So it just came natural to you, and then
it came natural.
After our undergrad, you say, okay, let me
go
check out
let me go to the arts management program. Let me really understand what that meant. You know, essentially it's like an MBA, but we studied specific the nonprofit world from an organizational side and a finance side, but then specifically, what are the challenges within the arts community and nonprofit, right? So everything from orchestras and museums and dance organizations, you name it. And I met colleagues from all around who had, you know, music backgrounds, but also, you know, art history and theater, dance, and we all learned it, and then we have all gone out and become executives in our own fields in the discipline that we really loved.
Can you share some of the things that you learned in that chapter that were curricular as part of the arts management program, and some things that were learning outside the classroom that maybe you picked up and were like, oh, that's the nugget I've been looking for in this chapter of my career?
Well, you know, I was someone who always questioned the norm. And I tell my board and my staff now, think big. You know, I don't use the whole think outside the box. I still think that to even think about a box is kind of weird. Just think. Yeah. Just what do you think comes naturally? You know, what should you do? And I saw a lot of things that I would do differently. And I said, does that make me wrong? And at some places, so when jobs would come up, I wouldn't try to tell them what I thought they wanted to hear. I said, here's what I really think and here's why. And I didn't get many jobs because of that. And I'm glad, because that's, when I got the job I got, it's because it was an organization that wanted what I was going to be able to give or believed. If you go in and you try to just answer the right questions, but you don't believe it, you're not going to be happy, right? Because now, okay, I got the job, but now I don't believe in what you're doing or how you're marketing things or what you're saying. I don't believe it. You're not going to be happy. So I was always very like, hey, I think I know how to do it, and here's how I would do it. And if you think that's a good idea, then I'm your guy. And I've been very fortunate that a few organizations have said yes to that. And the first one was right out of my master's degree. I was fortunate to get a job at the Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestras. And I thought that would be one step of many, and that turned into 14 years. Yeah.
Which years was that?
2003 to 2016.
2003, 2016. So we actually overlapped in Chicago for a number of years, because I was there from 05 to 12.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and so I'm actually surprised, because Chicago is such a tight-knit community, but you were probably inside the program trying to build it. But you know, I went to school with the Third Coast guys, which you guys collaborated with.
Absolutely.
And how much do you miss Chicago? Or are you?
I miss Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago is a great city.
Special,
it's no
right?
knock on Indianapolis now, but being a California kid, being in DC, Chicago, the culture was really great. Indianapolis is really, really great, but it's when you live in three, you know, really great, vibrant areas. Indiana's just a little bit smaller, you know, a little bit smaller. But Chicago really is an amazing, amazing city. Yeah.
And do you typically do Midwest each year, or is that in particular certain years you go?
Oh well, when I was in Chicago.
Well, I mean now. I mean, do you get to make it back, or
yeah? You know, a month after PASIC, and all those people who ask me for like 5 minutes at PASIC and I can't give it to them, I say, you gonna be at Midwest?
Yeah.
Why don't we sit and have a coffee or something?
Yeah, you get your Chicago fix, and you don't have to be the person that they're finding when something's escalated to that level.
Yeah, you walk around and say, hey, that's. You know?
I'll see you in November.
I don't even like, it's like, ooh, I wouldn't do that. I don't even do that. It's just like, hey, have a great conference.
Good luck.
Yeah, it's all on you. Yeah, which is a great conference. Yeah.
So you go from early 2000s, 16 years later, 14?
Until 2016. I did take a really quick 1-year hiatus in Chicago, moved to Washington, D.C. with my family, where I was the general manager at CYSO up until 2012. And then I became the executive director of the D.C. Youth Orchestra for 1 year, so back to D.C., 12 to 13, and during that 1 year in DC, my boss in Chicago said, oh, I'm leaving CYSO. I was like, now you leave CYSO. And so the board said, I know you just left, but would you come back and be the executive director? And it was too much to pass up, I had so much passion for the organization and felt like I couldn't do some of those things that I wanted to do, not as executive director, so I said yes. We picked up, moved right back to Chicago, and then that was 2013 until 2016 when I got a call about a job opening at Percussive Arts Society.
So tell us about that homecoming. I wish we had more time so I could really dig into that. I mean, you're packing up your family, you're going to DC, you're packing your family up again because so much of your blood and DNA is in that first organization.
Oh, it was great. And I did, and those 3 years I packed in. I said, here are all the things I know we can do. A youth orchestra is it's a professional organization. It's just our artists happen to be amazing students at all levels, and we did so much, and I'm really proud of that time. But those 3 years went by really fast, and I wasn't looking for a job, but all of a sudden this organization who I wasn't really part of for many, many, many years, and a friend said, hey, PAS has a job opening. I'm like, well, why would PAS? I haven't been part of PAS for a long time. Why would it, it was very like, why would they want someone like me? He's like, just look into it. I said, all right, So, and very quickly it was, back to that. Like, it was so quick. Like, right, this is my passion, like drums and percussion. And now I've become pretty good at what I did on the administrative side. And this organization does so many good things, and I could probably help it do even more, take it to the next chapter, right? I don't want to say do things better, just, hey, they were at a spot, and now what can Joshua do? You know, what can I do to work with the team and work with the board? And so that was really cool, and happened very fast, actually. Put my application in, got a call from Julie Hill, who was the president at the time, and said, "Can you come down for it?" And I had an interview. I remember I was in California when they called me about an interview. I had to do a phone interview at my parents' house. I think it was like Passover. I went home for, I'm like in like my old bedroom, like talking about like, stuff. And but then, they said, "Then can you come into Indianapolis?" And I came to Indianapolis. I think the whole process was like, I don't know, a month. Like, it just happened. And then like on site, they're like, "We want you. We want you to be here." And I was like, "Oh, let me think about this." And it was like, yeah, this is the right time.
What do you remember about that interview? You said that when you go in, you're not one to say what they want to hear. You're going to bring your ideas and your vision.
Oh, even more so for this one, because I had a great job. Yeah. I had a great job. So I was like, hey, because I asked for the financials. What's the organizational structure like? What does the board do? I'm asking those questions. I didn't care about what kind of artists you choose for PASIC. That's not the part. My job is to make sure that there's a healthy organization. And there were some things that PIS was doing that I wouldn't consider healthy from a governance standpoint and things like that. And it was like, well, here's what I would do. I would do this, I would do this, I would do this, because it would create this. And then people would question me. They're like, well, don't you think X, Y, or Z? And I'm like, no, I don't, because here's why. And okay, that's fair. And I'm like, I can offer you that, but if you want to play it safe, then you go that. If you want to, expand and let's do something else, then I'm your guy.
You mentioned that you were originally with the Chicago Youth Symphony program, and you were the general manager, and then you left, and then you came back to be the executive director. There are aspiring arts leaders who might be watching. Yeah. What does the role of a general manager look like, and then what did you have to change in your mind to step into that new executive director role?
So really within my organization, so operations, general management, it was really about, I took care of just all the programs. Anything dealing with programmatically, so overseeing the students and and concerts and anything dealing with programmatic stuff, working with all the music directors and conductors, oversaw all of our programs. And the executive director is really more about, you still report to that person, but they're really dealing with the board of directors and fundraising, and and my job intersected, but the main thing was that. But I knew I knew that I also wanted to take on that other role. That's when you go get a degree in education or performance, your dream is to do a certain job, right? And mine was, okay, I really am passionate actually about the overall management of an organization. I have peers who are directors of marketing, because that's their pinnacle. They don't want to be a CEO or an executive director. They want to be the director of marketing or director of finance, and they are that. I wanted to be an executive director. I really wanted to be about vision and strategic planning and long-range vision, and making sure that we can, that stretching things out while also fixing some of the little, and then why don't we also fix some of these little things here? But I really try to think about that 30,000 foot view versus, it's the eagle versus the chicken, an eagle view versus that, kind of thing here. And this is, you need people to do this, but you also need to take the blinders off. And I in this part of my life, I really enjoy that.
You described that when you started looking into this role, would you describe it as maybe a reawakening of your passion and love for percussion?
I always had I never lost it. When I was in Chicago, collaborations with Third Coast. I started a steel pan program in Chicago. Blue Man Group, Blue Man Group collaboration. There was always this. I did a concerto. We headed a concerto with Glenn Kochi, in the youth. Wilco. So I always was like concertos for maracas and orchestra. with Ed Harrison.
Oh my gosh, he's the...
Yeah, right, amazing. Concerto for turntables and orchestra we did. Excuse me. So that was always there. And I mean, I was always a percussionist at heart, right? Fill in for a percussion sectional, or help the timpanist out, which was my main thing. But I never lost sight of that, right? And but definitely then it was like, okay, but then just like I did with orchestra, when I got that job, it was, okay, how can I listen to, I would listen to a different piece of music or symphony like every day. That was just like put on a piece of music, right? Hundreds and hundreds of orchestral pieces we only played, but I listened to. But when I got this job, it was like, okay, I have to refamiliarize myself with the percussion world. And so the music in the percussion world was just very different, right? The solo and the percussion ensemble and rep. And then the other thing that blew my mind was when I marched in high school, the indoor activity, when I went to my first WGI, I was just like, what is happening? Like, I was just like, wait a minute, what
mind blown.
Mind blown. Like the last time when I was we had spring drumline, but spring drumline was pit and drumline, and we marched in California. We did spring drumline on the football field.
Sure, yeah.
It was, right? And then only my senior year was their first time where they said, we're going to move this, because in the spring in California, there was a lot of wind. So you do your show, but everything would be like, and you wouldn't be able to hear anything. So then we went into a gym, but it wasn't like, we weren't doing a lot of movement. It was still block drilling, and crab walking, and like that was it. And then that was the last I ever, I still followed drum corps and marching band stuff, but I didn't do anything. Yeah. So now fast forward, almost 25 years, yeah. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I have to catch myself up on, there's a large gap to catch myself. How did we get from this to this? Yeah. Even in the drum corps world. And then those organizations became my strategic partners, right? So I was like, okay, I have to be up on what's happening and why we're doing it. And that's been amazing, because the amount of students who come through those programs, the amount of percussionists, when I go to WGI in Dayton, that's the only other all percussion event that happens other than PASIC. Right. It's all percussion. Right. And so I was like, okay, this is a special bond, this is a special thing, that we have to do. So yeah, but I had to but then all the new music and using electronics with marimba, when I was there, it was like, oh yeah, I played this piece, but now it's like, the catalog is just amazing. So yeah, I just new groups, new composers, who's the hot, what's the hot stuff out right now? Who are the great players? It's been amazing to learn about it, but then also get to know them all, have them all be my colleagues now.
Yeah. It's so fascinating. I don't want this to come across as hyperbole, but it sounds like your preparation was 25 years in the making, and you were made for this role, right? Because you're bringing all of your leadership and strategy and vision experience outside of the classroom, and you're learning it in different disciplines in orchestra.
But I want to let people know who are watching, I didn't have any special upbringing. I grew up in a family there were 6 of us, four kids. My parents, they were public school teachers. Music wasn't like I took music lessons, and everyone did their own thing. We did a lot of things as a family. Lived in a small suburb of Los Angeles. Like nothing like, I didn't come from already like, oh, my parents were LA Phil musicians, and no, just a very basic upbringing. But my parents really taught us they gave us a great upbringing, introduced us to things, and then said, keep going. And that's the thing, like, you just can't sit and wait for something to come to you. You have to keep going out. And I was really like, I will be there, I will be the first person there, you will, it doesn't cost anything to be like super kind and empathetic and hardworking, and it doesn't cost anything to do that. And show someone that, hey, I will do this, I will help. And I got my hands dirty and did what I had to do, and and I guess people saw that, rewarded that at some point. And but because of that, I definitely always give back. I had bosses, or not bosses, but people who were if I was an intern, I saw what I didn't want to be from an administrative standpoint. I saw people, I was like, I'm not going to be that way. I'm always going to have time for somebody, and same thing went with like all those different jobs. Like, I know the type of organization I don't want to work in. I saw it. And you have to see all that to understand what's going to make you most happy. And I'm happy. This is a great job. I love it. I mean, you may ask me how someone become the executive director of PAS, you wait for me to retire.
That's perfect.
I mean, I love it.
That's perfect. So since you've started in this role, you've made you and the team have made some decisions. For example, we're here in Indianapolis.
We are.
And I remember when I was in college, I remember getting in a car with 3 other friends, and we would drive 14 hours from Texas to Louisville. And then there would be a year where it'd be in Austin, and it's always a great hang wherever you go. But now it's in Indianapolis. Could you just talk a little bit about why that decision was made and how it's benefiting the organization?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So, Indianapolis reached out to PAS as well as DCI and Music for All before 2009 and said, hey, we really want you to come to Indianapolis. And they saw the benefit in bringing lots of amateur musicians and people to Indy, the same way they've cultivated the sports world. And this city is also made for these conventions. If you've never been here, right? Everything is tied. We have the most hotel rooms connected to the convention center. You can get anywhere indoor, and so they said, bring your headquarter here. And they said, we'll do that. And then, that time we opened Rhythm Discovery Center. But they were on a 2-year on, 1 year off type of thing. They still would be like 2 years Indianapolis, let's go to San Antonio. 2 years off, go to Austin. 2 years Louisville. 2 years. But at some point, the economics of that didn't work because, like anything else, you get breaks for the longer contract, right? DCI, music product, and if you think about the big conventions or competitions in this country, where's NAMM? Anaheim. Where's Midwest Clinic? Where's WGI? Where's DCI finals? Where's BOA finals? Why are we moving around? And the reason is because, hey, long-term contract, discounts, we pass those off to you.
Right. So for
you're
our
getting the savings,
Yeah, our registration.
Your registration, hotel contracts, right? I mean, sure, let's pick up and go to Nashville next year. Okay, registration's going to be $500 and your hotel rooms are going to be $400 a night. Yes. That's just what they garner. Okay, what about a smaller city? Let's go to Louisville. Well, why Louisville? We're already in Indianapolis. Let's go to Columbus. It's already. I mean, we're not talking about cities that are people always get, when are you coming back to Texas? Okay, well, if we go to Texas, there's a whole bunch of the world that won't be able to go there. Interesting stats. 50% of the population in the United States lives less than an 8-hour drive from Indianapolis. I mean, you can get here via car, you can get here via via plane. The airport is one of the best airports in the world. If you've ever flown through the Indianapolis, you know how easy it is. So it just makes sense to also then just have a home. And we've made PASIC better. I guarantee you PASIC is better because when a little issue comes up, we think about it and we say, okay, next year, let's, if you go to a place one-off, you're like, oh, I really wish we would have done that. And then it's just, it's gone. It's just a thought. This actually is a thought, and then there's action. And next year, that's going to be way better, and and it is. Or we're thinking about it. Okay, we know how we set up the chairs. We can actually add a few more things here, and we design. So we know the rooms. Our offices are 5 minutes away from the convention center. We're always in here. We come in, we look at other conventions and what they're doing. We're like, oh, that's a cool idea. Let's steal that. R&D. Replicate, duplicate. What is it? R&D.
Research and development.
Well, yeah, but it's more for us. It's rip off and duplicate.
Yeah, duplicate.
Yeah, that's it. Rip off and duplicate. Yeah, but it's a different convention, so that's what we do. Yeah. And it's great, and we all oh, let's do that. Let's move this here, and it makes the convention better. It just does, and it keeps the prices down. And my job is to really make sure, how do we get the most people to PASIC? Make sure that it's affordable, make sure that it's accommodating, and we can do all those things by knowing this place inside and out.
So I can hear the chatter coming from outside, and I know you still have responsibilities that you need to fulfill. So I have one more question for you, but before I ask a question, I want to say just thank you again for taking so much time to be with us. I know a lot of people are going to watch this and learn a lot, because I've already learned a lot in this bit of time that we had together. What would you say to everyone in terms of just community in PASIC? Because PASIC is that one year where we all come together, but there are still so many other days, the other 361 during the year. What's your message to everyone on how we can stay engaged with PAS?
Yeah, well, first of all, PASIC is amazing. But remember, it's one thing we do, it's not who we are. And that this community needs each other year round. We get together in person globally once a year, which is so important. But year round, each state has their own chapter and set of events. We're here for expanding our art form. I think that's really what it is, to have that central place to say, what can we do? Who can we reach out to? What kind of programs can we do? How do we get more sticks into, or mallets, or just drums, whatever it is, into the hands of a new generation? And being that central kind of resource, that central place that we can come together for thought, for education, for research, for performance, is so important. And your membership, I always say, less and less people want to join something, right? A lot of free stuff, that's great. But membership dollars go directly to making sure that our art form, the percussion art form, drums, percussion, stays at the forefront of new works and technology and expanding, you name it. And that's really what membership dollars do. It allows us to grow PAS so that we can continue to expand the pie, more job opportunities, more things to do, more partnerships. That's really important. And then PASIC, Mike Balter, I use the story all the time. Mike Balter told me, PASIC is a great convention, but it's a family reunion. And every year we need that opportunity to come back together. Everyone has a hard year. This world is really difficult. And this is that moment to say, I'm with my people. And drummers and percussionists are a group of people that we like the hang, we like the talk, we like the good to see you, and the and the hallway chats, and it's been a long time, and it's just so important that, I talk to so many people, they're like, the grind is real, and these few days is that, different than a family vacation. This is professional, but it's us. It's made by us, for us, and that's really the special thing about PASIC.
Awesome. Joshua, if people want to find out more information about how they can get involved,
yeah,
where should they go?
PAS.org is the main place to go. It's actually a new website. All the information there. Actually, we have a great, there's so much information. There's videos on PSR that you can't find on YouTube. We have a history of PASIC stuff. It's so many cool things, but you can see that, and you can also find information to contact me. Any of the staff members were there for you to answer questions, and I hope that people just stay involved and engaged.
Amazing. Yeah. All right. On behalf of Ensemble Block, Joshua, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is a good hang. Thanks for the hang.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys.